certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. We're here to talk about one of the greatest Stallones of all time, Frank Stallone. Because why not? No,
Take it back. Take it back.
No, but in all seriousness, he wasn't on the poll. But we're here to talk about sort of Sylvester Stallone. You may be wondering, hang on, there's only two people. How are you going to nominate and all that? Well, we were going to have a third person, but like they just haven't.
Look, Vinny was supposed to be here, but he ran into Look, him and Kermit, they hit up the clubs last night, and by hit up the clubs, I mean they threw beer bottles at a club that didn't let them in, and so Vinny's sitting in a jail cell right now.
So what we are going to do is instead of just trying to reach out last minute to find someone, we're going to do it top 10 style. Because we've both got our own sort of lists of 12 ranked anyway. And so we're going to do it that way, and then
top 12,
and then collaborate it that way afterwards. So how this is going to work is we're going to do our bottom three, then next three. I'm not going to try and sort of pretend I know.
Well, let's just talk about the show. So first,
Brian, there was other people that wanted to be on, like some people that I did reach out to for this. Just either couldn't. We're busy.
Do you need anyone but me on this episode? The answer is no. Yeah.
So if you're familiar with the top,
the top 10 show, which is a great show, you should go support them.
Yeah. We're going to do our bottom three, then our next three, then do one apiece from 6. We've got two extra than they do, so I'm working out a way that works for that one.
Your show, man. Your show.
Then I'm not going to. Don't want to really rip it off by doing saying the word punt, but
no, we don't need to do that. I think, like, literally, let's say if my 12 is your 5, then you'll just say, "Oh, I have that in my 5," and then we'll just talk about it. We don't need to do the punt thing. Yeah. We could just talk about whoever brings it up first. We talk about it there, and then when we get to the number, just be like, "And my number 5 was whatever."
All right. Matt, what is your 12?
Before, I want to just give a little background on this great man that I have a poster of behind me. Sylvester Stallone, who we're talking about. Now, I don't know about you, Malcolm, but this man has been a hero of mine since I was in 3rd grade. I love this man. I don't think he gets the credit for being as good of an actor as he is, even though he is a 2-time Oscar nominee. I freaking love Stallone. I think he's great. I think he's done a lot of different things. I just love talking about this man. So at my number 12, I got ants. I have ants at my number 12. Did ants make your list?
No.
Okay, so yeah, we don't need to talk about the ants versus Bugs Life thing, whatever, because Bugs Life is a superior film. But Stallone is great in this movie. He's Z's best friend. He's a soldier ant. He gives up his place in the army for Z, and then he goes to work in the mines. He's just a fun character. He's a sweet character. You know, he's always looking out for Z. He's been raised to be a soldier, but like that's not what he wants to do. He's much happier being in the mines, which is the whole thing of the movie, is the fact of like, can we really decide people's place at birth? No, we can't. I think he's great with the cast. Jennifer Lopez plays his love interest aunt in the movie. He's great with Gene Hackman. The scene when they capture him and are beating him up, and he's like really refusing to give up Z and all this stuff it's just Stallone having fun. And it's the first vocal work he ever did, and he's gone on to do other stuff, which is also on my top 12 list. But it all started here. So yeah. So Ants, yeah, it's my top 12.
What is your 11?
My 11 is Bullet to the Head.
Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen. So Bullet to the Head. This came out, I believe, 2012. It came out around 2012, 2013. It came out around the same time as The Last Stand, and A Good Day to Die Hard. Because there was this whole thing to where, like, 2013, I believe, was just like the trio of the 80s action guys just returned. Willis, Schwarzenegger, and Stallone all had movies. Bullet to the Head. It's a pretty solid movie. It's definitely a movie that's made after Taken, because obviously he has a daughter that gets kidnapped, but he plays this really sort of dark, brooding, badass character. There's a scene when he's in a bar. He's got like a bottle of Jack's or something. A guy's talking to him. He's like, when I finish this bottle, I'm finished with you. Jason Momoa plays one of the villains in the movie, and him and Stallone have this insanely cool axe fight at the end of the movie. It's a bit par for the course, Stallone, hence why it's at 11. But I can't help but say I enjoy it. It's a good 2010s action film for Stallone.
And your 10.
My 10 is Hand, Friend. The Suicide Squad. I love...
That's my number 5.
That's your number 5? Okay. I'm not surprised. And I don't mean that to be mean to Malcolm. I have loved Stallone since I was in 3rd grade. Malcolm has only recently, this week, watched a bunch of Stallone movies. That was so mean. I apologize. The reason why is just because he's not like the central character of the movie, whereas like literally every movie he is. But he's so good. He's so good. And I love King Shark because he's like a 5-year-old. Like that scene when he almost eats Ratcatcher, and he just like doesn't get that, like, oh, I don't eat people. Okay. And the moment when he finds the fish and he thinks he's found these brother and these friends, and the glass breaks and they start eating him. He's like, ah! I love him. He's so cute. He's wonderful. I hope James Gunn has so many more plans. And again, you take Sylvester Stallone, who is this great, cool actor, and you give him the character with the least amount of lines, and yet, like Vin Diesel and Iron Giant, he does so much with so little. So yeah, but you said Suicide Squad is at 5 for you, so you definitely have more to say about this than I.
Oh yeah, no, I literally just watched it again this morning, just sort of refresh it. I mean,
Yeah.
it went down for me slowly. Like when I do my list on Letterboxd, I don't sort of do it based on how much screen time they have and all that. It's more what I feel about the movies is how I make my lists. And like I just really love Suicide Squad movie as a whole. And it's just
Great movie.
It is like,
and it led to Peacemaker.
Yeah, it was one of those ones like, if you're going to tell me with the 2016, which I'm one of those people that did enjoy the 2016 Suicide Squad.
Same here.
And I know there's a few other people, but like this took what they did in there and blew it up sort of tenfold.
It really, I agree with you. The 2016 movie, I think, was a solid enough sort of action movie. This James Gunn came in and made a comic book movie from the action movie, and I like the fact that he pulled in, like, I like the fact that it wasn't just like a Queen's Sleep. Like, you kept Margot Robbie, you kept shortly Jai Courtney as Catherine Boomerang, like he kept things, but the stuff he added was so good, like throwing Nathan Fillion as the detachable kid, like stuff like that. And it's just like, I love the wacky manicness of this movie, like the bus driver, and they just care so much about him that when he dies, it's like a serious thing. It's like Gandalf dying of fellowship. Yeah. And Harley Quinn having the whole thing with the dictator only to just like murder him at the end. It's fantastic. I love it.
I mean, the whole scene where Harley Quinn's going through the hallway, just shooting everything out, you see, and just all the colors and butterflies and all this. There was just
the shoot off scene between Peacemaker
Yeah.
and Idris Elba is incredible, and just John Cena, like I love Peacemaker. I don't know about you, but like even him in that movie, like the bag of dicks. I would eat a whole bag of dicks. I would eat all these dicks if it was for America. So yeah, Suicide Squad's one of the best comic book movies the last couple of years.
So on to me, and
Yeah, you're 12.
this is one of those ones. I'm going to put it out there. But when I started this, I hadn't seen a lot of Stallone movies. I watched a whole bunch. One of them is a big franchise, which may or may not be a spoiler for my list once I start talking about it. But that's not going to get here at the moment. Just coming in at 12 is the Expendables 2. This is my
not on my list.
Yeah, this is my favorite of the Expendables
Okay,
trilogy.
though it's also my favorite. But I have reasons.
But
Sorry. Continue.
yeah, no, it's one of those ones like this is one of those ones that I watched. I actually started watching the Expendables for the first time a while ago when I think we was doing something. It might have been
2010's action movies.
That might have been it.
Have we done that list?
I mean, it was something we did this year because I watched the Expendables. It might have been 2010's action movies or something.
I can't even remember if we've done that, but
yeah. So I'll figure it out. But anyway, it's just one of those ones. Like I really enjoyed this. Like for me, all the Expendables movies was kind of. Any one of them could have been here. Because I like them pretty much all sort of equally. Like
I agree.
There's not one I'd put higher than the other. Like they're all 3 stars for me in Letterboxd.
So this is what I've said about the Expendables films and the Olympus Has Fallen trilogy. I think they are the best 80s throwback action movies we've had. I think the plots are like intentionally written to be a plot that you would see in an 80s action movie. You know, like in this movie, it's some evil guy is trying to steal plutonium in this foreign land, and the team's going to go in and kick ass. Like you could see that in any 80s action movie. And yeah, this one, it's my favorite of the trilogy. When we get to the one I have on the list, I'll explain why I put that one on my list. But dude, this movie, like the people it adds, that the first one didn't really have. You get Schwarzenegger in a more dynamic part. You get Willis in a more dynamic part. You get Chuck Norris in there. Who doesn't love Chuck Norris? And you get my favorite action star, Jean-Claude Van Damme, playing the villain and having so much fun. Like when him and Stallone have the fight, when Barney Ross and him have the fight, when Barney is taking off his gun belt and his bulletproof vest and everything, just the way Van Damme is just like, ooh. And that's a great fight too. Like I love how something that I have a problem with a lot of action movies today is, which I get, it's just like, it's a lot easier for stunt coordinators if like everybody has the same fighting style because you can just train everyone the exact same way. I like when action movies show that like different people have different fighting styles. So I like in this movie that Van Damme, he's a martial artist, so he's doing the kicks, he's doing all this, whereas Barney Ross is not doing fancy kicks. Barney Ross is a brawl fighter, so he's just going to run and gun. And everyone else, you have Jason Statham still being awesome in this movie. I now pronounce you man and knife. That scene when they go into the bar with the brass knuckles. This movie is so much fun. Even Liam Hemsworth, he's not in it for very long, but I think they do that really smart casting to where it's like you just get a really charismatic actor who you know is going to die, and so you need a charismatic actor you're going to care about, and you do. Like when he gets killed, you care about it. And yeah, just great action movies, and one of my favorite Stallone deliveries in an action film. Track them, find them, kill them.
Yeah,
I love Expendables too.
But for me, at my number 11, it's definitely not the first time this is going to be on here. It's definitely not going to be the last. It's Rocky Balboa.
Rocky. Okay, see, I had only put one Rocky movie on my list, so and Balboa is not the one I put on my list.
Yeah, I mean, no, like it's one of those ones that, like, for me, this was before I knew we were going to do this.
Me too. Yeah.
So, otherwise, I probably would have picked I would have only nominated one of these, but because we're doing it this way,
I would have had more than one Rocky movies actually,
and I probably wouldn't have made the post I did on Facebook where I reviewed my Rocky rankings, because now you know what else is coming up.
I do.
But yeah, look, this is my least favorite. I mean, it's one that on rewatches I might skyrocket up, or it might stay here. But when it comes to sort of Rocky Balboa, it's a really, like, the actual. This is, for me, was a fitting end to the Rocky as a fighter story, because it's just this boxer coming out of retirement, just for one last match, and just doing it, and it's just one that I think when they lead into and we'll get to it later, the Creed series. I think this was a good thing of having him finish his stuff as a fighter, and then it's kind of like leaving it open to.
It was very serendipitous that he did this, because if you went from Rocky 5 to Creed, it would have this sort of like, oh, are we ever going to get to see Rocky fight again? To where this is sort of the definitive end of him as a fighter.
Yeah,
and that's the whole point of this movie. And I know you have this kind of low. I really love this movie. This movie is really powerful to me, because it is the story of a man who just feels like he's losing everything. You know, he lost his best friend in the 80s. He lost his manager in the 80s. He's just recently lost his wife. He has a terrible relationship with his son. His brother-in-law just can't keep living in the past, because he has these horrible, like that scene when they're at the ice rink that is torn down, and Paulie is like, I can't keep doing this. Like, you treated her well, I didn't. And then sort of the whole, the sort of computer fight they have between Mason Dixon and prime Rocky Balboa. And also what happens after that when you have the caster who's like, I think Balboa was completely overrated, and sort of has Rocky question himself and everything. And then obviously he gets the offer and he gets the pass. My favorite movie quote of all time comes from Rocky Balboa, and is the speech that he gives his son. I can literally show you. I have it on my wall when I'm working, because I think that speech is so true. Like, the world is a rough place, and it's going to keep kicking your ass. And if you just like kick your ass, fine. But it's not about fighting back at life. It's about taking the punches and rolling with it. It's such a beautiful movie. And what I love is, and I know they had the alternate ending where he wins the fight, but I'm really happy that they didn't. I'm glad they went back to that original idea that the first film presented, which is winning the fight was never important. It was going the distance. It was proving to yourself that you could do it. And I love that. And I really, it's a fantastic movie. I hope you do revisit it, Malcolm, because it really, I think on rewatch, it really is a where it succeeds where Rocky 5 kind of failed, to where it tried to reground the character after 3 and 4. That just did a little bit too fast. Here, just in the natural course of, it was like 30 years after the last Rocky movie, and Stallone just got older and like age crept in. I could keep talking about this movie all day. Yeah. I love it.
I mean, actually, we're probably going to be from. One last thing I will say about Rocky Balboa: the casting of Peter Petrelli as Rocky's son was really interesting, because it's one of those.
He's so good.
Yeah, like if you had tell me Molly Van Midley was Sylvester Stallone's son in real life, it's like
Yeah,
I
and
would probably believe you.
obviously, it's very unfortunate they had to do that because obviously his real life son, Stage Stallone, passed away. Who probably would have done it because he did work with Stallone again later in life. But yeah, but given the circuit, he's so good. Like that moment when he talks about the reason why he goes by Robert is he like can't live in his dad's shadow. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I said, I love this movie. I could keep talking about it.
But yeah,
and credit to Stallone, he went the at the time champion actually punch him in the fight because he was like, "There's no way we're gonna be able to actually like record this in a real way. Hit me, just punch me for real." Like credit to that man.
But yeah, going on to the next one is one that I actually watched.
Is this your 10?
This is my number 10. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is one that I watched for the first time when we did sci-fi movies of the 70s. It's Death Race 2000.
Okay, I still have not seen this, unfortunately. So it's all you, Malcolm.
And if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's free on Tubi. I mean, at least it was for me. Because apparently, just like every other streaming service, what's on in America is different to New Zealand.
True. I'll put it on the list for rent for you, honestly, genuinely.
But yeah, this is one of those ones that I didn't know much about going in. Like, I'd only ever heard of the Statham version, and which I haven't seen. But
wait, Jason Statham was in the remake?
I think so.
Do you think on the Expendables set, Sly got up in his face like, "Hey, what's up? You trying to remake my movie? Huh?"
I mean, I think the Statham remake is actually different to this one. I think the premise is slightly different anyway. But anyway, but this is one that like Stallone isn't in this a lot, but it's but just like another movie which is going to be coming up, like even though he's not in it a lot, I think when he is in it, it's just really impactful as well. It's like he doesn't. I mean, it's
he's Sly. Of course he's impactful.
I mean, with another movie that I'm going to talk about later, like, even though he may not be in a movie much, like when he is in it, it's just elevating to it.
Okay, and you're gonna laugh because I bring up this man, but like he's like Kurt Russell and Harrison Ford. He doesn't have to be in the movie a lot, but they just have this charisma that is just like when you're there, we feel your presence. Like you don't fall into the background of anything. And it's great.
One of those is also in the movie that I'm referencing that's coming up later.
Oh, yes. Of course. Of course. It should be.
but Matt, what is your 9?
Okay, so my 9 is a movie I'm going to assume you probably haven't seen. It's from the late 70s. It's called Fist. So did you see The Irishman?
Yes.
Do you remember who Al Pacino played in that movie?
I don't remember much about
that. Okay, so Fist is, and I hope I get his name correctly. I'm just going to look it up. Just give me 1 second. I truly apologize about this. I'm so sorry. I probably should have prepped this. So he plays Johnny Novak, who is pretty much Jimmy Hoffa. It's like they couldn't get the rights to the Jimmy Hoffa story, but it's the same thing. It's a guy who's working on the docks, then starts working for the interstate, the truckers union and everything. It's really early performance Stallone, but it's really good. He plays the range of Jimmy from a young man to an old man, and everything that goes on with that, all the drama and the intrigue, his wife, his friends, sort of the betrayal in his life, which ultimately leads to, spoiler, if you saw The Irishman, you know how that movie ends, the assassination of him. It's a really good movie. Obviously now with Irishman, you're talking about Martin Scorsese, doing it with, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and everything. But if you're interested in young Stallone, because something to remember is Stallone wanted to be an actor. He didn't want to be an action star. He kind of fell backwards into that. This shows, he wanted to be an actor. He's really good in this. I really recommend Fist. Even though, yes, the title, it's not one of his porns that he did before Rocky.
Yeah, no. I mean, because when I was making my list and looking at his filmography, it's like he had a whole bunch of uncredited extras. One of them being in MASH, apparently. He was in the background of
MASH, the show or the movie?
The movie.
That's my favorite war film, and you're telling me Stallone's in. God, I gotta find that.
Well, no, I was looking up at like he was an uncredited. I think he was an uncredited extra somewhere in that movie. Because there's a few. It was, I was looking at his film of this whole. Then I saw this random movie called Italian Stallion. I was like, and I looked up like softcore porn. I was like, interesting.
Yeah, that's what's.
You may think we joke.
Hey, you gotta work. You gotta work. Okay.
They don't call him Sly for nothing.
Oh God, Malcolm, I hate you.
But
I can move on to my
what is your
8? My 8 is the first Expendables movie. So the reason why I put that on my list as the one is it was between Expendables 1 and 3. Here's why, because those are the ones where Barney Ross is like the main focal point of the story, whereas 2, which is what I love about 2, it's the teen movie. 1 and 2 are Barney stories, and I just prefer Expendables over Expendables 3. No offense, poster behind me. We talked about Expendables 2, a lot of the same things. I really like this movie. I like the story. I like that it's this far off fake foreign land where an asshole dictator and some rich guy are just being jerks, and Stallone and company are just going to come in. I love the scene when him and Statham first go there to sort of survey the place, and they just kick all the ass. And then at the end, when they fly back and they drop the fuel on them, and then Statham shoots the flare and just sets them ablaze. It's so great. Again, everything I said about Expendables 2 applies to this one. And one of my favorite movie scenes is the church scene with the trio. It's so good. And then the ending where he's just like, give it to my friend here, and he walks away, and Bruce Willis is just like, what's that guy's problem? He wants to be president. It's great. I love that movie. Oh man, I love these Expendables.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add. Like everything I said about Expendables, I kind of
again we said like they're very much similar quality. Like I said, I just think one is more Barney Ross's movie than But yeah, so I'll just move on to my 7.
Yeah.
Right? Or yeah. Okay, my 7 is Daylight. Not on your list?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's so good. It is my second favorite disaster movie of all time, next to Dante's Peak. I adore this movie. So this movie is about it's the Holland Tunnel, although they never say it, but the tunnel from New York to New Jersey. At the very beginning, there's a guy who is paid to illegally transport this toxic material, and at the same time, there's these thieves who robbed a jewel store. They're being chased, so they go into the tunnel to try to get away from the cops, and they're speeding, and everything gets messed up. They fly into one of the trucks, which sets off this chain reaction of trucks that just explode. And so the New York side, it just crumbles, and now people are trapped in there. Stallone plays Kit, who is he was formerly part of the EMS, but he was let go because when he was, I forget exactly what he was doing, but essentially people died under his command, so he got let go. But he ran like this trial in like 94 or something. The movie takes place in then present day 96 of like what to do if this happens. And essentially he's the only guy who can go in and lead all these people out. It's really great. Like the cast is really good. You got Viggo Mortensen in a very small role. A lot Stage Stallone, his son, plays, because there's a prison. There's a bus of prisoners that are being transported that are all there, and he's really funny. Like at the beginning of the movie, he's talking to one of the other guys about how he got like what he's in for. And he's like, like I was selling cell phones and everything. Like he would steal the numbers, put in a new phone and sell it. And then he's like, how'd they catch you? And he's like, I guess I shouldn't have paid for that Ferrari cash. It's just a really, really solid disaster movie. Like there's always the impending threat of they're going to eventually run out of oxygen. Like he needs to get these people out. And then there's also the outside threat of they want to drill in. But the problem is when they drill in, the tunnel can crack and all the water is just going to sweep in on them. It's really intense. I really recommend this movie to everybody. Like I said, it's my number 2 disaster movie behind Dante's Peak. I think it's just fantastic, well done. And the score of this movie is brilliant as well. So yeah, so Daylight is my 7.
My number 9 is Rocky 5. And this is
solid choice.
Even though I've seen them for the first time this week, I don't remember a lot about them, which is bad. But
that's why you have me here, Malcolm.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like this is one of those ones where it really shows what a lot of boxers sort of get into, especially when they sort of have to start sort of doing like product placement, like start doing
when they're no longer the fighter, when they have to, and that's any athlete, not even just a fighter, like your life after you're done with the sport, like what is that like?
Yeah, and it's like just seeing the scene where Rocky's do I think it's the cologne advertisement.
You're thinking of Rocky 2. Rocky 5, he does no advertisements. Rocky 5, he finds out he has brain damage, and so he's not cleared to fight anymore. Because Paulie screwed up with investments. They lose the mansion, and they move back. Rocky starts playing Mickey's gym. Are you thinking of Rocky 2? Is that what you want on your list?
No, it's definitely Rocky 5. I've got here. It's
okay.
It's one of the problems.
This is Tommy Gunn. Rocky 5 is Tommy Gunn.
Yeah. No. Okay. I remember now. It's one of the problems with watching a whole franchise. Like they start blending it, especially a franchise like Rocky, where they're all relatively. While they are different stories, they're still relatively similar as well.
How dare you?
Hey.
They're not 3 movies of people just walking to the same place. Oh yeah, yeah.
No, but it's 6 movies of people of a fight happening in it.
All right, you're not wrong, but that's also like Star Wars as well.
But Eddie,
Stallone would have made the Lord of the Rings movie so much better. Well, we just fucking go up to that eye and just kick the shit up.
Honestly, with how popular Stallone was, I'm surprised he was never cast in Star Wars.
He auditioned for Han Solo. He talked about that, and he said George Lucas and the casting director didn't want him, and he had to be like, "Look, I would look like crap with a ray gun. It's fine, guys."
But anyway, we're talking about Star Wars next week.
Rocky 5. I can take it from here. Yeah. I like Rocky 5. I agree with you. There are no bad Rocky movies. Do I rank this one the lowest? Sure, but I love Rocky, so it's like something has to go in the last spot. Yeah, as I said with Rocky Balboa, this was an attempt to bring Rocky back to the first 2 movies. It's the reason why they bring back John Avildsen as the director. He directed the original. It's just the one problem is that it happens way too fast. Like the whole Paulie doing stuff with their money. I felt like the brain damage could have been enough and just being like, and just simply, but I know they had to do something about the money. Having said that, I think it is a really great story. I think you have Rocky, who when he meets Tommy Gunn and starts training him, since he's not cleared to fight, it's kind of like that thing to where you have the parents who wanted to be a pro athlete failed at it, so they make their kids become a football player, a baseball player, a tennis player, and then they live through them. and then ultimately Rocky gets betrayed by him, and that's very upsetting. While at the same time, because he's so invested in Tommy, he neglects his own son, which is a great story to where his son is falling in with the bad kids because like he loves his dad and just wants his dad to be around, but he can't because his dad's feeling like shit because he can't be the fighter. And it's a really great story, and George Washington Duke is fantastic in it as, the villain. And it leads to my favorite fight in the Rocky franchise, which is the street fight. I don't care. It's not the best, but it is my favorite. Everything that starts off in the bar, with Paulie, where he's like, Rocky's the real champ. You're just a chump. Get out of it. Hey, don't you come in here knocking me down. Don't come knocking me down, too. In the ring. Tom McGowan only fights in the ring. My ring's outside. Yes, so's mine. It's just great. Like, and then when it seems like all's done, Rocky has the Mickey flashback where he's like, I didn't hear no bell. Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you. One more round. And then it all ends with, come on, Pug, touch me and I'll sue. Boom. Sue me for what? So yeah, I love that fight so much, Malcolm. And since it's a fight about brothers, I edited it to Battle of Heroes from Revenge of the Sith. I'll send you a link to that.
I don't know. I don't think Rocky ever has the high ground, so
he has the moral high ground.
But moving on to my number 8, and as I alluded to this at the start, don't be surprised. Rocky 3 is my number 8. Look,
You
I
have
know
your reasons.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's just simply I like the story of 2 and 4, sort of, and the other ones more, but yeah, Rocky 3. This is the one that Mickey dies in, and it's just me to say. I mean, look, and I know there was a big discussion when I put this on Facebook because I know
Yes, I
Jordan
stayed out of it.
Anderson thinks that they didn't do it justice. I think it's one of those ones like with Mickey being the manager. I think Mickey really wanted Rocky to succeed, and just I mean, the way I see it is like he didn't want Rocky to be worrying about him while he's fighting.
Adrian talks to him about that on the beach when he's, when he says, I'm afraid. And she has that discussion with him and he's like, he loved you. He cared about you, and that's the discussion even, about the fighters to where it's just like, they were setups. No, it was good fighters, but they weren't killers like this guy. Like he cared about Rocky so much that he's like, I don't want you to worry. And you also got to remember, Mickey's from a different generation. Mickey is from that generation of you stub your toe, you keep on walking, you don't cry about it. Like that's the generation. Like he talks about in the first movie, he was in a boxing match where some guy put a nail and started like stabbing him in the middle of the fight, and he kept on fighting. Like that's just who Mickey is. Yeah. So that's my thing about that.
Yeah, and it's just because I mean, like, and there's definitely parallels of this, and I think it was Creed 2. Where,
Creed 2 has a lot of story beats that are very similar to Rocky 3. Like he's the champion, he gets knocked down, he has to recoup, comes back, and fights. It's also Dark Knight Rises also. That's the same story.
I mean, the other one that the other story beat I was actually talking about is in Creed 2, Rocky reveals he's sick as well. Like it's that whole same thing as that. Like
that's Creed 1. Creed 1 is when he has cancer.
So apparently I watch these but don't know them.
That's why I'm here. It's okay, Malcolm. I'll just
knows Rocky.
Rocky 3 I really like. It's one of my favorites. I like it because I like that story. I like that Rocky has all this fame. It's kind of gone to his head, and Clubber Lang, who is my favorite villain in the Rocky series, one of my favorite movie villains in general. just destroys him because he's just not ready. Like I love that whole thing to where they're showing when Rocky's training, he's made it this carnival, and then you see Creed is just on his own. Like it's so great. And then this is where you get Apollo Creed and Rocky's friendship, which is so Carl Weathers might be the best actor in the Rocky series. Like he might be the best actor from the Rocky series. And he is so good. Like that scene when he comes to him and he's like, look, man, when I lost to you, I don't want to hear nothing or none of it. Not even from my kids. Like he's like, I understand what you're going through. But you lost not because you came up like I did. Like I just lost the better fighter. You are not in the mindset, you know. You're at the eye of the tiger, man, the edge. And then bringing Rocky out and training with him and Duke. And at first, he's just so afraid. And then Adrian and him have that great discussion. And Talia Shire so good in the movie. And then it culminates in that final fight with Lang. And I love how it starts to where, like, you know, he's telling him, like, you know, don't pay him any attention. Then Clubber says something to Apollo, and Apollo's like, I said you couldn't say anything, not me. It's great. And that friendship is really at the core of it, which I love them so much. Yeah, so I really like Rocky 3. I understand why you prefer 2 and 4. I definitely can understand that, but like, I really like. I think because it's like you get the friendship, you also get Eye of the Tiger from this movie, which is amazing. Yeah. So you get the friendship, you get my favorite villain, and a really good fight. And one of the only Rocky fights, actually the only Rocky fight in the ring where there's no like cutaways, like it doesn't just sort of fast forward through the fight. You see the entire fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that honestly, it's probably the other thing that kind of brought it down round to me. Is more because the bulk of the movie was just the fight, and it's just and it just kind of dragged it down a little bit, just because there wasn't a lot of actual story in here. But that being said,
I disagree a little bit, but that's fine.
Although,
I also don't know if you're thinking about Creed 4 when you think about Rocky 3.
No, I mean, I had to double check, but Mr. T was great as Clubber Lang in this.
Yeah, this was his film introduction. Can you believe, like, to come out and this is your intro? It's like Alan Rickman in Die Hard. It's just like you come out and you play one of the greatest movie villains ever. Like, good on you, sir. And where's that Rocky pinball machine? I want it.
Also, apparently, there's going to be a Rocky 3 director's cut coming out next year.
Really? Is it? It's got to be from. I mean, Rocky 4's director's cut was pretty good.
Well, it's going to be released by MGM United Artists, but it's coming out at May.
Well, it can't be a director's cut. Stallone is not a part of it. He was the director of 3.
Well, I mean, yeah. As I said, I don't know. Like, it's just something that says on the Wikipedia page. Whatever.
And the sources do trust me.
Well, yeah.
Let's continue with your list, Malcolm. What's your? What was that? Your number?
That was my 8.
That was your 8. So what's your number 7?
My number 7 is just one step away is Rocky 2.
Okay, that's my number 1. So I know we're not punting, but I feel like we should.
I think because it's your number 1, we should just leave it.
We should probably wait to talk about that. Okay, so my 6, right?
Yeah.
So my 6 is Cliffhanger. It's okay. It's in my top 5 favorite action movies of all time. It's so essentially Stallone plays a Rocky Mountain rescuer, Gabe Walker. At the beginning of the movie, his friend Tucker and his girlfriend, they get stranded on top of this mountain peak because Tucker hurts his leg. I don't think he breaks his leg, but he like really injures it so he can't like climb down. And something happens to the girlfriend. I'm not going to say but if you've seen Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, the opening of that film is the opening of Cliffhanger, but with a monkey. Wink, wink, Malcolm. And so Gabe is really thrown off. He sort of goes away, but he comes back to sort of go back to his girlfriend and like collect his things. At the same time, oh my god, oh, his name. Oh, I feel so bad. This actor, Third Rock from the Sun, Lord Farquaad and Shrek. Oh god, it is not John Lovitz. I know that for a fact. Give me 1 second. I feel so bad. This is why I was never in the Schmodown. This is why. John Lithgow. John Lithgow plays a not a terrorist, but he plays a thief. And essentially, there's like $5 million in like treasury funds that they're trying to steal, but it gets lost within the mountains. So it's a battle of Stallone trying to get the money before Lithgow can. It's just awesome. It has a lot of great fight scenes and a lot of great action. Rennie Harlan, who was the director of Die Hard 2, directed this. So you know it's a solid action movie. And the score is chef's kiss. So yeah, Cliffhanger is my number 6. Should I do my 5 or what are we doing?
I'll do my 6.
Okay, we're going to trade one apiece. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, my number 6 is Rocky 4.
Okay.
And I will just by saying I haven't seen the director's cut. I know it. I've heard it exists. This is the theatrical version.
Yeah.
Like the director's cut wasn't released over here, and until it gets sort of a physical media or dropped somewhere.
Yeah, once that happened in Sly, get on it.
But that being said, I enjoyed the theatrical version a lot. Honestly, it's one of those ones like when I heard about the director's cut, I was like, I don't get why they actually did it.
You and me both. But
because like from what I heard, they took away the robot scenes, which
the robot is.
I actually really like the robot.
Happy birthday, Ollie! And did you realize how that robot has a very robotic voice? But then later on in the film, it has a feminine voice. Holy slept with the robot.
But Rocky 4 is just one of those ones that I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, and once again, as Rocky 3 introduced Mr. T, this is introduced Dolph Lundgren. In his
was this his film debut as well?
Well, this is his first American film debut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So good. And he's such a mirror to Clubber Lang, to where Clubber Lang was this in-your-face talker. That's not Ivan Drago, and I really like that he's not. He's just this, you will lose. He's like the Terminator, essentially, because he's so hopped up on drugs. He's just got nothing up there.
But yeah, I mean, this is just one that I know we haven't really talked about like Talia Shire when we talked about the other movies, but
yeah,
like I think Talia Shire's Adrian is just fantastic.
She's so good through the entire series. She is so strong. I mean, she is. If you were to sort of rank the importance of actors and characters in the Rocky series, she's right under Stallone as Rocky. She's phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, you get Apollo Creed and what happens to him, which is so sad because again, we talk about when we were talking about Rocky Balboa, like this is Apollo's life after being a boxer, and he can't take that. He needs to be the guy who, like, I think he wants to fight Drago because he wants to beat Drago, because then it's going to be like, oh, Apollo Creed isn't just this has-been fighter. And again, you get that great scene when him and Rocky are watching their old fight, and it's like, we're not that anymore, Apollo. Like, that's not who we are anymore. And then all the training stuff in Russia. is fantastic. Like the cinematography is great. Yeah, it's montages. I don't care. Hearts on Fire is fantastic. Vince DiCola's score is amazing. And Rocky 4 might be the greatest final duel in a movie ever. War, that track is so freaking good. I love this movie so much. I hate that it gets crapped on because there are great moments. You talk about Talia Shire being so good. That moment after No Easy Way Out, which is another great montage, when she's like, you can't win. And he's like, I'm a fighter. And it's like, what? Like, Apollo's dead. Doing this is not going to bring him back. And then when Rocky's just like, I'm a fighter. This is all I know. But that moment when he's like, for him to win, he's going to have to kill me. But to kill me, he's going to have the heart to stand with me. And it's such a good movie, man. It's so good. I love it. It's not subtle. And also, I mean, look, Rocky ended the Cold War. Because if I can change and you can change, everybody can change.
And also, like, I didn't realize until I was watching this, the person that played Drago's wife was actually Stallone's real life wife.
Bridget Nielsen.
Briefly. Which is funny because when she reappears in Creed 2, she doesn't have any scenes with Rocky.
Well, she didn't have any scenes with Rocky in Rocky 4 either, unless you count the like sort of interview section. She doesn't have any scenes. She has a scene with Apollo's wife.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, that's my point. Like, even though she appears in scenes with Rocky in Creed 2, she doesn't. She really.
No. But she's a Russian. What would Rocky want to do with the Russians?
I mean, it was just one of those interesting things. But yeah,
I was freaking coach.
But Matt,
Drago does no drugs, and then you just get a shot of steroids. I'm sorry. So my number 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my number 5 is Tango and Cash.
Haven't seen it.
How you haven't seen Tango and Cash? How the fuck have you not seen Tango and Cash? You depress me, man. So Tango and Cash, it's Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone, and it is so good. We have a watch along on this channel of it. It's great. I love this movie. It's a great action movie, but it's Stallone and Russell. Stallone playing against type. He is playing this 3-piece suit, Armani shoe wearing guy because he's not a banker, but he does like all this like stocks and everything. So he's like really rich. So he doesn't need to be a cop. And there's even a scene where his captain is like, why are you here? Like, you don't need to do this. He just likes the edge of being a cop. And Stallone and Russell are from 2 different departments, but they're the best in their departments. And then, of course, they're framed for this murder and everything. And they go to jail together, which is great. Like that scene of them in the shower when, I don't know. Yeah, you don't know shit. And then Russell bends down to pick up the soap and he's like, don't flatter yourself. And when they're walking through, and the guy from the beginning that Stallone arrested, he's like, I loved you. And he just pulls and bangs his head into the bars. And even the opening, like, I love the, he thinks he's Rambo. Rambo is a pussy. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's definitely, again, it's sort of made in that Lethal Weapon was a really successful movie. So we should probably make another Lethal Weapon. But it's not bad in that regard. So yeah, I definitely recommend that movie. And also, that's Talia Shire. That is not her name. Oh Lord, what's her name? She's Lois and Clark. Can't figure her name. Terry Hatcher. Yeah, she's in it. She plays Stallone's sister, and she's super hot in the movie. She's a stripper in the movie. So,
but yeah,
it gets to your work.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one that, like, I knew that if that was going to, I knew it was bound to come up one way or another. It's one that I specifically tried to find. It just isn't streaming anywhere for me, and the library didn't have it. Like the only Stallone movies they had was the Blu-ray of the original Rambo trilogy.
That is,
You
need to have a conversation with your library.
But anyway, we've already talked about my number 5, because my number 5 was
Suicide Squad.
God. Matt, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is Demolition Man.
Not on my list.
Not on your list.
I've seen it.
Okay, you've seen it at least. I love this movie. Once again, another one of my favorite action movies. Stallone is so good in this movie. He's really just kind of playing himself in a way, but he's having so much fun. You know, it's that guy from the past being thrown into the future, and future where he doesn't belong. And there's so many just great moments. You know, this guy, Raymond Cocteau, wants to take me to Taco Bell. Lord knows I wouldn't mind the burrito. Him and Sandra Bullock are great, and they have actual really good chemistry because he is the embodiment of everything like she loves. Like, he is actually a dude from this time period. It's great. Him and Phoenix, you know, Wesley Snipes, who is so good in this movie. Shit, I wonder if I'd play the accordion too. Great action scenes, great just one-liners. Dennis Leary is really good in the movie as Edgar Friendly. I love this movie so much. It's a great fun action movie. And be well, John Spartan. Be fucked.
But yeah, like fun fact, over here, it wasn't Taco Bell, it was Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut, yeah. Pizza Hut, yeah, they changed it. That's also where we get another joke about Schwarzenegger as president. He became president? The 53rd Amendment.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that, like, even though he's uncredited in the movie, maybe one of Rob Schneider's better movies.
We're cops. We're not trained to handle this.
But moving on to my number 4, and my number 4 is the OG Rocky. Look, this is one that I really enjoyed. Like, just the whole underdog story in itself is just an incredible feat. It's just one that just sort of just kept on going, and just sort of showing him sort of rising up to take on Apollo Creed, and just that whole fight was just great. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Don't really have much more to say about it. Just, this is what it started off with. There was so many times I really considered sort of switching my 3 and 4 around, but like ultimately I left it the way it is because I do like 3 a little bit more.
Yeah, I love this movie. This is my comfort movie. When I'm having a really hard time, I watch Rocky. I watch Rocky because, like you said, he is the underdog, but I also watch because Rocky is the ultimate movie for do not judge a book by its cover. Because Rocky, at the beginning of this movie, he is this club fighter. He is he's a debt collector, but he is the sweetest person in this movie. You know, you see that in the scene with little Marie when he walks her home, and he's explained to her that, like, if you keep going down this path, you're gonna rep, and no one's going to like you. And then, like, when she's like, screw you, creepo. And he's like, yeah, screw you, creepo. His relationship with Adrian is my favorite romance movies because he just loves Adrian. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he finds her attractive, and he likes the fact that she's nice to him, which a lot of people are not nice to Rocky, but she is. And what I love is throughout the movie, you see both of them improve as people because they're together. And it's a story like it's a story about a guy who does not care about being the champion of the world. That's not important to him. He's not a guy who says, I want to beat up Apollo Creed. he plainly puts it out the night before the fight, after he goes to the ring, and he comes back, he's laying in bed with Adrian, where he says, "Love that matters now." You know, like, if I can go the distance with Creed, and at the end, I'm standing there, you know, I'll prove that I just wasn't no bum from the neighborhood. That is what that movie is about. That is a movie that is about proving your worth to people. Like, just going the distance. And it's an incredible movie. I saw that movie when I was in third grade, and it has left such an impact on me. It is a movie that Malcolm knows. If you are friends with me for any amount of time, you know Rocky is a movie that I love. Honestly, I'm really surprised that I haven't done a video about Rocky. It's definitely not a second look episode, but I definitely need to do a movie talking about this movie, because I consider it to be one of the 3 greatest films of all time. The other 2 being It's a Wonderful Life and Field of Dreams. Reason why is because we're all Rocky at one point in our lives. We may not be a boxer, but I don't care what it is. I mean, Stallone wrote this movie, and if you want to replace being a boxer with being an actor, that is Stallone's life at that moment. It's no one believes in this weird dude with an odd face and an odd voice from New York and Philly. Like, you're never going to be an actor, man. Your name is Sylvester. No cool actors have the name Sylvester. That's a cat from Looney Tunes. And yet, he proved them all wrong. And this movie went on to win Best Picture. And yeah, the competition was up against. It deserved to beat it.
But yeah, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Copland.
Haven't seen it.
Gosh. Yeah, this is one of Stallone's finest performances. So he plays Freddie Heflin, who is the sheriff of this small New Jersey town, which is the reason why it's called Copland, is because at the beginning of the movie, they explain how there were these cops who didn't want to live in the city that they worked in. And so one of these cops, Harvey Keitel, figured out that if they pulled overtime doing transit work, they could live outside and be like transit. I forget the word, but essentially they could be New York City cops while not living in New York City. And so essentially this whole town, it's a copland. It's pretty much all cops live there. Like, there's no crime there. Like, Freddie as sheriff does nothing. But at the beginning of the movie, Michael, and I can't remember his name now. He's Collider Movie Talk. Michael Rappaport. Young Michael Rappaport kills 2 people, and something happens to him, which sets off this whole chain of events that pulls in Robert De Niro, who's he's part of internal affairs at the NYPD. It is an incredible movie. Stallone is awesome in it. Harvey Keitel, Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, Robert Patrick. Like, it is a stacked cast. But Stallone is at the center of it. He's deaf in one ear, and you find out a reason for why he's deaf. It's a very heroic thing. He put on like 60 pounds of fat for this movie. Like, and not like, oh, I put on a fat suit. Like, you see him with his shirt off, and it's like, he looks like me, you know? But I'm not doing a Copland movie. He's so good, and I would talk about it more, but since you haven't seen Malcolm, I'm trying to say as little as possible because it is such a good movie. I'm really upset that Stallone didn't get a nomination, because you'll see if you watch it, he's so subtle. Like, he's such a subtle person. He's very kind, and what I love about it is it's so funny when you compare him to these other people who are cops, and him is, a lot of these other guys became cops because that's a way that they could be in power and could be dicks and no one could stop them. Freddie became a cop because he cares about people and he just wants to take care of people. Look, James Mangold was the director of this movie. James Mangold, who directed Logan, so you know you are in good hands with this movie. Yeah, so that's all I have to say about that. Check it out at your earliest convenience, Malcolm.
I mean, if it is in like a franchise, I might wait 3 years before I finally get around to it.
I hate you. I hate you so much. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I mean, look, I know what you guys say in the comments, but Sylvester Stallone only has a really small role in this. I don't care. He is even though he's only a small role in this, he is just really good in the movie. And
I agree.
And it's one of those ones like when I do my list, like I do it based on my enjoyment of the movie and not just based on the
Performances
of the person.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
If it was only performance, this may not have made it in here. I might have ended up Spikers 3D at the bottom of my list.
All right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is just a really great Marvel MCU movie in general, and it's just a great movie all around.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, there's a lot of times on this channel, to be honest.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. For a long time, it was my favorite Marvel movie. It's not anymore, but it's still top 3. Such a beautiful movie about family and everything, and Stallone does work into that with Yondu. And the scenes between them are really good, and then him at the end at Yondu's funeral. And then the post-credit scene, which I really hope James Gunn follows up on, let's go steal some shit. It's great. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Obviously Stallone, that's why it's which I guess I think I put Ants over that just because he's a more prominent character in Ants. But it was sort of, I was thinking about it. Just because I do love Guardians 2 so much, but my list is a little bit more performance based, which is not a problem whatsoever. Everyone
makes lists differently. But
yeah,
Matt, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is First Blood.
Just missed out on my list.
Just missed out on your. Wait, what the? You put Guardians 2 over First Blood?
I'll get to it.
All right, I'll talk about this. I adore this movie. This movie is so good. He plays this broken man. This man who is trained as a Green Beret to be this killing machine who is sent home with nothing and is called the Baby Killer. And at the beginning of the movie, it's the only time you see a Rambo smile. At the very beginning, when he sees Del Mar's house, he smiles because he's like, I found my friend. I'm going to have peace. I'm going to be with him. And like that whole time when he's talking to the woman and he's showing the pictures, like, yeah, we had to put Delmar in the back because if we put him in the front, he'd take up the whole picture. And then when she explains that Delmar Barry died, and he leaves the picture with her and is just broken, and then walks, and then Will Teasel, that motherfucker, like that whole scene with them in the cop car to where, he's like, is the law against me getting something to eat here? Yes, me. And Stallone just, what's great about First Blood is Rambo had more lines, but Stallone really was the one who deleted a lot of his dialogue because he felt Rambo is a man of few words. And you see that, like, that moment when Teasel drives him to the end of the bridge, lets him out, tells him about, and starts driving away. This moment when Rambo looks towards the road and then back at the town, puts up his collar and starts defiantly walking back to town. It's so great. He's so good. The action scenes, obviously, if you don't know, that scene when Stallone jumps off of the rock face into the tree, that's really Stallone. He broke a rib doing that stunt. And then everything culminates in the end of the movie with Teasel. Not Teasel, with his general. And it's a lot of people I have seen make fun of Stallone's performance in this, but I don't. It's him explaining this story of like it starts with him talking about the fact that like over there I had purpose. Here I can't get a job pumping gas, and then talking about like the shit he's seen. He literally was with his friend and saw his friend get his legs blown off, and it's just like. I say, I want to go home, John. I want to go home. I can't find your legs, and I love this movie so much. If you can't tell, it is such a fantastic movie. The score in it is great. There's an argument that this should be his number one, but yeah, I love First Blood so much.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to really love First Blood because I've heard like this is a great sort of action series. It was fine. I mean, look, it was like as I said, if this fell in Act 13. The second one I really didn't like.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the sequels, and that is the problem. Is this was not an action movie; it was a drama. It's just because of the sequels, everyone's like, "Oh, Rambo, the action series." It's like, no, it's not. It has scenes of action, but it's not.
I mean, I've the same argument when it comes to Lord of the Rings that when people put them into action.
Yeah, those are fantasy movies. Fantasy movies are not action films.
Well, I mean, like they do have action scenes, but that's another argument for another.
That's a different discussion. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those ones. Like, I thought it was fine. That I didn't hate it. I just got. I honestly got quite bored at it, to be honest. So,
okay. It's a slow movie. It's a slow burn.
I mean, it's one of those ones. Like, I didn't hate it, obviously, because like it could like. I was debating whether I liked it more or less than all three Expendables movies. But always like, well, I like Expendables too.
Yeah. I'm not judging you. It's just like I'm like, holy. Now I'm thinking about your list. I'm like, these are all movies Malcolm put above First Blood. Okay. This is like watching one of those Watch Mojo lists where I get to the end and then I'm like thinking, so they put it down when I watched it again. You put that above all that. All right, it's your list, of course, but okay. Like I say, I will say, which I hate being this guy, but as a person who runs a show called Second Look, I would suggest giving this movie a second look down the line and go in knowing it's not an action movie, it's a drama. It's a drama film. I
mean, it's one of those ones like when I go to a movie, I don't think of them as a specific genre anyway. Mm-hmm. I'd go in to watch the movie, even as a drama, it probably wouldn't really change.
So you don't go into a comedy thinking it's going to be funny?
No, because I mean, it's one of those ones like I'm one of those weirdos that liked the Adam Sandler Netflix movie Murder Mystery, even though it's not that.
Was Stallone in it? No. Once again, Matt is just derailing everything. I apologize. We can move on to your number two.
I mean, it's not as if John and Matt don't derail everything in their own show.
True. We actually probably should have started off the show with a half hour talk about basketball. That's my favorite when it's basketball season. You'll go to listen to like, hey, it's top 12 characters introduced in sequels. And it's like the first 40 minutes are just like John and Matt being like, so the Bulls.
Also, I don't intend any shots towards you, John and Matt, if you're watching, because we do have two people watching.
It's John and Matt.
We like your show.
Oh, we love your show. We love you guys. You know that. We love you. Come on our show. Come on, rank them.
But with that being said, my number two is Creed 2.
Okay.
Look, like the Creed movies it's just one of those ones that
This is my favorite of the Creed films.
Yeah, this is. I mean, when it comes to the Creed movies, this is just one of those ones that I really do like a lot, because especially when you've got like Drago's son coming for revenge, and that, and just wanting
it's actually the reverse. It's Adonis who's going for revenge. Drago's
well,
son has just been raised to be a machine.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's what I meant to say, but it's just one of those ones, like that whole aspect is just one of those ones which is what I really
it's a really
enjoy.
Great legacy sequel. It's a really I've said before, you can do a double feature that feels like this is the like you don't need any of the connecting Rocky movies. You can literally go from 4 to Creed 2. But I'm sorry, Malcolm. It's on your list. So
I wish I'd known that, because I would have probably seen the Creed movies earlier than then.
Well, I'm glad you saw all the Rocky movies, but I'm just saying, like, you can do like a matinee of Rocky 4 and Creed 2, and it's like,
oh really yeah. No, what I meant was, that's the only reason I didn't go see the Creed movies, is because I thought, oh no, I need to see the Rocky movies first.
Well, you did.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's one of those ones. I think the point, you don't really need to see you can watch the Creed movies and watch the Rocky.
Someone can watch Creed and Creed 2 who's never seen Rocky, and that is a nice thing about Creed 2. But Creed 2 is so much better if you know Rocky 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones, like, for me, I don't think it matters too much, because I think they do a good job in this, and sort of highlighting the story, and sort of bringing out the aspects and making it feel like making it work for someone who may not have seen Rocky 4 that's coming into this.
Yeah, they go in more than the first movie into Apollo and Adonis and everything, and they really do a good job of recapping the movie. And that is something I love. Like that scene when Rocky is like, that man broke things in me that ain't never been fixed. Like, it's great. Like, it's a great but also it's just a great movie. We talked about it. It follows story beats from Rocky 3, which is totally fine. Like, you have all these new challenges for Adonis. He's married. He has his first kid. All at the same time now, this sort of, like, the guy who took his father that he never got to know away from him. And then you have this son who, we learned that after Drago lost to Rocky, he was like excommunicated. His wife left him, everybody just left him, and he was left with this baby that he just turned into a machine, into a monster. And it's really great. And you have all this, and there's so many things going on, and it's so great. And then at the end, how the fight ends, is a really great callback to the original Rocky 4 with the towel. And there is a mutual respect, I think, between Balboa and Adonis and the Dragos. And yeah, I really like Creed 2. Like I said, it's my favorite. I think it's my favorite because it's a really good continuation of Rocky 4. I've said, I know you said you didn't see the director's cut, but the director's cut of Rocky 4 is a really good movie to watch, and then watch Creed 2. Because a lot of the stuff it adds, I think, goes into Creed 2 really, really well. And I know they're doing a Creed 3, but like, I think Creed 2 is a perfect ending to the Rocky series. And like, I get teary-eyed at that end when Rocky shows up at Robert's house and meets his granddaughter. Like, it's such a sweet moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the, because I know there's a lot of people sort of upset that Rocky's not going to be in Creed 3.
Yeah.
But but I think Creed, like as you said, I think Creed 2 is the perfect stopping point for the Rocky character. I don't think he really needs to be in 3.
That's also why I don't think we need a Creed 3.
Well, I mean, that's fair. I think Creed 3, I think, will work if they want to continue on with the
Adonis.
character of Creed.
Yeah.
Because I think we don't need Rocky as
Just
the
don't.
manager.
My one thing is just don't kill off Rocky. I think if they do that, if they do the Rocky dies off screen, I think that's going to be so poor. I think it's totally fine with Rocky left Philly. He moved in with his son to be close, and now because you have Duke's son from the original films who
Yeah.
trains Adonis. I think build something there, like sort of. You could have such a more interesting story with those two, and like our dads were best friends. Like I think there's an interesting. A lot of people want Clubber Lang to come back. I think that's a little bit too much. I think that's a little bit much. I feel like create a new original character. I think doing the Drago thing for Creed 2 was so smart, but I think in the next movie, create a new original
Yeah,
bad guy.
well, I mean that's the thing. I don't like unless they come up with a really good reason for why Creed has to fight Clubber Lang, then you don't need Clubber Lang.
No,
It's like
you don't need
like
him.
there's really no like.
The
I don't
only
think
reason
I don't
is
think
just
there's-
like, well, they brought back Drago, so they should bring back Clubber Lang. It's like,
I don't think
we
there's
don't need
any
it.
sort of
We don't
beef
need
between-
Tommy Gunn back, even though rest in peace to Tommy, the actor who played him.
Yeah, because I mean
passed
as
on.
well. Yeah,
You don't need him back. We don't need Tommy Gunn's kid. Apollo's enemies do not just need to be all of Rocky's enemies' kids.
well, yeah, I mean, like it's one of those ones, like especially, I think with what Drago and what happened between Drago and Apollo Creed, I think that was one that I think was needed to be touched on.
Yeah,
for,
it did. That's why you can bring back Drago, because Drago killed Apollo.
There's no reason to bring.
There's nothing. There's no
any of the other
connection
ones.
beyond Apollo managed Rocky and coached Rocky when he fought a Clubber Lang again.
But with that being said, got number ones. We already know what your number one is, so let's talk about it.
Yeah, so my number one is Rocky 2. So I probably did this a little bit more by performances than my favorites. But Rocky 2, I think, is Stallone's best performance out of the series. And I know we'll talk about your number one. He has a lot of great moments. But I think when you look at everything in Rocky 2 that Stallone is doing, Rocky now goes from this nobody to a somebody. And it's really cool to see this character who was a nobody his entire life finally be a somebody and really enjoy that. Like all the scenes when he buys the car and he stops and he buys Adrian the fur coat and he gets himself the tiger jacket and he buys the house without even looking and everything. And he's just, and the character is changing and evolving. He marries Adrian and he becomes a father. And he thinks he can have a life without boxing. And he tries to do the promotions, but he has trouble reading because Rocky's not very well educated. And that moment when he goes to the job counter and the guy's like, look, you don't have a high school degree. And he's like, why don't you fight? I hear you're a pretty good fighter. Watch Stallone's reaction where he's like, getting punched in the face is not so fun. I don't remember the exact line, but this defeated look of like, that's all I'm good for. And then realizing that is who he is and when he goes to Mickey and Mickey knows about his eye and that when he does I see, you didn't see nothing. And he smacks Rocky in the face and Rocky did not see coming. He's like, that's coming from a broken down punk like me. What do you think the champ will do to you? And then everything when Adrian's in the coma, like everything that when Mickey comes to him in the church and he's just so quiet and reserved. I just think it is Stallone's greatest performance of his career because I think it is taking everything great that he had from the original Rocky, but adding all these real world elements, all these elements of becoming a father, becoming a husband, having to take care of family, wanting to leave this thing that is a part of you, thinking you can get away with it, but realizing because of circumstances of society, you're not allowed to. Like, he's working at the meatpacking industry, but they need to have cutbacks, and he's been there the least amount of time, and he just has to get let go. And then to train and to come back and then to win. And that victory is so felt because of everything he's been through that movie. How can you not cry? Yo, Adrian, I did it. Yeah, Rocky 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that like it fell a little bit for me, but it was, as I said, just because I like the other ones more. But yeah, this is like the story itself, I think, really worked, and the fact that Sylvester Stallone wasn't nominated for an Oscar for this one as well.
I think that's one of those. It's like Ian McKellen not getting nominated for Two Towers or Return of the King. I think it's one of the stupid things where it's like, well, we just nominated him a few years ago. We can't nominate him again. It's like, yeah, sure, you sure can, and you should have.
I mean, I'm just quickly bringing up the
who was nominated in 80?
Who was yeah,
because it would have been the 80 ceremonies.
Yeah.
Because look, maybe I have a bias, so I'll try to be as unbiased as I can.
Yeah, so I mean, you had Dustin Hoffman for Kramer vs. Kramer.
Okay.
Jack Lemmon for The China Syndrome.
Never
Al Pacino for And Justice for All. Roy Scheider for All That Jazz. Peter Sellers for Being There. So I mean, it's tough because I can only talk about Kramer vs. Kramer. I think I've
never seen any of those movies, so I have no leg to stand on, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Kramer vs. Kramer is a movie I really want to see, but I just haven't yet.
Yeah, I mean,
but you know what? Screw it. A bunch of those guys already have Oscars. Okay. But by that point, I think Pacino had won an Oscar. Wait, yeah, no. Pacino would have won for Godfather Part 2 at that point. Hoffman, 10 years later, he wins it for Rain Man, so whatever. Roy Scheider, I don't think he ever won. Jack Lemmon definitely had an Oscar by that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's but it's just one of those ones like I think I not whether or not it's the fact that he was nominated recently for the first one.
I do think that did have to play in because it is the exact same character he's playing. I definitely do think that had to play in a little.
I mean, Al Pacino didn't actually win for The Godfather.
Godfather Part 2.
He didn't win for either of them.
He didn't. Are you sure?
He was nominated. I just quickly looked it up, but he was nominated for both of them.
I thought he won for Godfather Part 2. That's so weird. Who won in his place?
That's
very weird. No, I can't believe I've had that wrong this entire time. Who the hell?
We just talking about him. Jack Lemmon won for the year that
All right, I've had that wrong my entire life. That's why he won Son of a Woman. Because he
actually no. I was looking at the wrong one. Jack Lemmon beat Al Pacino for Superco. It's the year after. Art Carney won for Harry and Tonto.
What the fuck is Harry and Tonto? Jesus, what the Oscars? Fuck you. I'm still gonna live in my head canon that he won for Godfather.
But the funny thing is, like Al Pacino's nomination in 80 is about the same length of time between his previous nomination was Dog Day Afternoon. So it's about that, and it's about that same length of time between for Stallone. So I mean,
yeah, Rocky too.
So I don't,
Malcolm, we can talk about Oscars and how stupid they are another time. Maybe we could do a rank them on top 12 people who should have won Oscar. Because number one, I feel like should be Al Pacino for Godfather Part 2. Because that's some bullshit.
But
just sit there and watch as another person who played Vito wins an Oscar again.
but anyway, talking about supposed.
The Oscar screwing up again. What?
Oh shit! Al Pacino was nominated for Dick Tracy.
Al Pacino walked in Best Supporting Actor for Dick Tracy so that Heath Ledger could run.
But anyway, moving on
Hoo-ah!
from that, going to my number one, which is another one, which we're going to probably get into an Oscar debate.
Fucking Mark Rylance. I don't even want to hear about it.
But as we're talking about Creed, and like for me, like this is his second nomination, and for me, this is one of those ones that I think Stallone probably should have won here because even if it wasn't just for his role in Creed, which is really great,
they give so many legacy Oscars. How could you not?
Yeah, I mean, like, that was the whole reason I was.
You look through the history of people who've won legacy Oscars. The ones that come to my head are like Sean Connery for Untouchables, Pacino for Scent of Woman. And it's like, from what I've heard, I haven't seen Scent of Woman. From what I've heard, a lot of people feel like Al Pacino was fine, but he really got that Oscar because of the legacy. Stallone in Creed is way more on the Sean Connery side, to where it's like, not only is it a great honoring a legacy, but it's also an incredible performance. And the fact they give it to the most boring person. Like, I like Bridge of Spies, but like, nah, man. Like, and look, Christian Bale was great. I was going Mark Ruffalo in Spotlight as my number 2 behind Stallone, because he's great in that movie, but like, he's so good. That moment when he's talking to Adonis and he's like, if I could take all these great things, put it in a hat, and trade it in for one more day with my wife, I would. Like, this broken man who has lost everything.
Yeah, and like this is one of those ones. Like, if I was to rewatch the Rocky series, like creating like my top 3, like Creed, 2, and Rocky, they could all switch around any time. Like they're all really close together for me.
Creed's a really good movie. I really like Creed a lot. It's a really good. Yeah. It's a good continuation. It was a smart, interesting way to do it. Yeah. But it's your number one. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of the it's one of those ones, like the opening scene with Creed in the like orphanage and that.
No, isn't it Jury? Juvie? I thought he was in Juvie.
That might have been it.
Yeah, he's in juvie because he's in like a cell for like fighting one of the other kids or something. I think he's in juvie. I could be wrong about that. I haven't watched Creed.
Yeah, no, I'm not overly too sure, but it's just one of those ones that just kind of shows sort of what this character's like, and just and the fact when he eventually meets up with Rocky and Rocky just helps him get on straight now and just sort of channel his anger and all that into boxing, just sort of works with him. And and the one thing I really liked is like all the I don't know about the original Rocky series, but all the boxing in this was actual, like they were actually boxing. Like, I think Michael B. Jordan actually trained boxing.
Yeah, so the Rocky movies are very famous for they're stunts. There's a couple moments where you can see Carl Weathers throws a punch and doesn't quite connect with Stallone, but he goes, ooh. But you're also comparing movies that were made in the late 70s or early 80s to a movie made in 2015. Like, people are just way more noticeable of that stuff, and also it's just like action movies, and I'm not saying the Creed movies are action movies, but action in film has just changed so much that it's, you look at the stunts Tom Cruise did in the original Mission Impossible to what he's doing now, and it's like, yeah, you gotta evolve with the times. So yeah, and Mike B. Jordan is fantastic. He is such a good actor, and we talk about Talia Shire. Tessa Thompson is so good. Like, her story of she's a musician who's going deaf, and so she's just trying to get the best years of her career while she can is so good. And he is one of my favorite scenes between them is, well, one, I like their first date when they go to the place and she's talking about, why do you want to be a fighter? And he's like, oh, my pop's a fighter. And then later when it's revealed that she's like, you didn't tell me your father was Apollo Creed. But I think my favorite scene between them is the baby Creed scene, Like Mike B. Jordan is so good where he's like, "Baby Creed, don't call me that," and she gets pissed at him. She's like, "This was a huge moment," but that's also for him. It's a moment of like, I'm not just my dad's son, and then of course it's a great fight, and of course it culminates in that beautiful moment. Proof that I wasn't a mistake, and like Rocky feels that. It's great movie.
Yeah, and it's the fact that's only got one Oscar nomination total is just crazy because like I would have easily taken away the best picture of Mad Max Fury Road and put Creed in its place.
Now I hate Mad Max Fury Road, so but also just on a Mad Max Fury Road on a technical level is a better movie than Creed. I think any of the technical awards it was nominated for, yes, but as a film, I think Creed should have been nominated.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I probably would have put Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson into the best actor / actress races.
Michael B. Jordan is just like, dude, he's just a good. Like, he's one of those guys. Whenever I hear he's in a project, I just get excited about. Because he's just such a good actor. And you also see that he is someone who puts in the work. Like, he puts in the work. And Stallone has talked about that with him. And that's one of the reasons why Stallone's okay with walking away from this series is because he's passing the torch on to a guy who he knows is going to be able to carry it.
Yeah. I mean, even though there's things going around that he wasn't happy, but I don't know too much about all that.
What?
Oh, well, apparently he put something on Instagram or something that suggests he wasn't happy with being pushed out. He felt he was being pushed out.
No, that's all with Irvin Winkler, the producers who own Rocky, the Rocky series. He's pissed off at them because he feels like he should have the rights to Rocky. He wants to leave it behind for his kids. He thinks it's bullshit that he doesn't have any ownership of Rocky. That has nothing to do with Creed or anything. Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's time to rank this, which is going to be interesting to see how this ends.
Yep. So I got Rocky 2 at number 1. You got it at 5. I don't even have Creed on the list.
Well, I was about to say, I'm pretty set. I think Rocky 2 should be number 1 because I've got it at 7. Because that really outcome.
Yeah.
Now the
but
only other
we can put Creed at number 2 since it's your number 1.
Yeah, I mean, because the only other commonality we have is the Suicide Squad, which is 5'11".
Are you that is 5 and 10. 5 and 10.
5 and 10.
Are you serious? That's the only commonality we have.
Those are the only
two
commonalities.
So then Creed will be our number 2. Suicide Squad will be our number 3.
Well, I mean, it's one of those ones that you want to put Suicide Squad up that high, because the highest I had Suicide Squad was 5. So
I had it 10,
and you had it 10. So
let's put it at 5 then. Let's put it at 5.
I mean, we'll see how the rest of the series is. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is First Blood.
My number 2 was Creed 2.
We already got a Creed on here.
Well, I mean,
we don't.
I'm fine. I'm fine going First Blood if you want.
Yes.
The other one is I've downloaded a coin app if you want to do a coin flip. It's
up to you. It's your show. Do it. I am merely a guest on your show. But First Blood should be number 3.
Look, I'll do First Blood.
All right. So my next highest after that is Copland.
My next highest is Guardians, Volume 2.
Okay,
but
for as much as I like,
I was about to say this time we will go to coin.
All right.
I'll let you call it though.
All right.
It is In the Air.
Heads.
It's heads.
Oh yeah.
So Copland is 5. In Guardians 2 is 6.
Or should we? Well, we gotta slot Suicide Squad somewhere high since it is a commonality on our list.
Well, it's one of those ones like as well as sort of going through because I think it's still fair. I think we should still have at least, if we've got some things higher, like
Okay.
um.
Yeah. Again, I'm just thinking top 10 rules.
Well, yeah. No, I mean,
Okay, so my next highest is Demolition Man. I got that at 4, and that's not on your list.
Yeah, my next highest is Rocky, which is at 4. I mean, if you want to do what top 10 normally does, you got Copland last time, so do you want to do Rocky here?
Yeah, we could do Rocky.
Yeah.
We do Rocky there. I'm okay with that. And now you're audio only. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my show. I got the Stallone poster, so it's all good.
I put my phone on the on my cord, which had my webcam.
Okay.
All right, so Rocky is 7. Demolition Man is 8.
Okay. My next highest is Tango and Cash at 5.
My next highest is this is where I've got Suicide Squad.
Okay, so we should put Suicide Squad since we both have it. It should go in the next spot.
Yeah.
And then Tango and Cash after that, I feel like.
Oh, I think I'll do that for you.
It's Stallone and Russell, even if you haven't seen it, man. And Terry Hatcher and Malcolm. They're real and they're spectacular. Kurt Russell cross-dresses in the movie. And it's hilarious.
I've almost finished Sam Seinfeld for the first
time. Well, then
but...
I feel like you've gotten to her episode.
No, I've gone to that one.
Favorite episodes, but I just love her so much.
But anyway, but what's your next highest?
My next highest at 6, I got Cliffhanger. What do you have?
My 6 is Rocky 4.
Coin flip?
Yeah. Coin flip.
Alright.
Alright. I'll let you call it just because I've got the app and I can't.
Okay. Tails.
It's Tails. So Cliffhanger, did you say?
Yeah. And what spot is that?
That was the final 2 spots. So.
Oh, okay. So no Expendables film got on there. Huh. All right.
I mean, to be fair, you didn't really. Now I've just got. I should have been making the banners as I went along, but I didn't.
I wasn't paying attention, so.
But I was writing them down on a bit of paper, so.
Okay.
It's literally just me typing away.
Yeah.
Did you have any honorable mentions that
No, not really. I mean, because like in my. Yeah, no, not really. Because my top 10 list, let me just pull it up. You can find that list on Letterboxd, everybody. Let me just see if there's anything I didn't pull up. No, I talked about everything. Pretty much. Just I really love Stallone. He's great. Don't I have any honorable mentions for him?
Yeah, I mean I didn't have a lot like I know we joked about it.
I will mention for Billy, my buddy, Billy Belford, Get Carter. He loves Get Carter. So everyone should go and see Get Carter. I didn't quite make my list, sadly, but
I mean, I joked about earlier about like
Spy Kids 3.
Spy Kids 3D.
He's having so much fun in that movie. He is. Like when he's playing the 3 different versions of him, like he's having fun. The hippie is my favorite, but you gotta love, you know? Why do I talk to you? I am in turn just talking to myself. Man. This was a lot of fun, I gotta say.
But some that night, Leo brought up like
Over the Top. That's a fun. I love Over the Top. Leo, those are there's some good ones. Escape Plan, that's a fun one. Couple I haven't seen. But Over the Top, that's a fun one.
Just quickly look see if I had anything sort of in
mentions.
Yeah, because I mean, like I kind of talked about all the Expendable movies and we've talked about them. So
Yeah, we only didn't talk about Expendables 3, which is a lot of fun. It has Harrison Ford in it, so obviously it's great. And Mel Gibson is good as the villain. There we go.
Yeah.
We talked about you, Barney. That's the poster I have is for Expendables 3.
And I mean, I definitely wasn't going to be bringing up Ratchet and Clank anytime soon.
I don't even want to know what that is. Don't even tell me. Don't even tell me.
It's a movie. It's a movie based on the video game Ratchet and Clank.
Is he Ratchet or Clank?
No, he's. I think he's only a small part in it, but that movie's not a good. But anyway,
no point.
But here's our top 12 Stallone movies.
Okay,
which is very interesting because even though my list had a lot of Rocky movies, not all actually made the list. The final list. At number 12, we have Rocky 4, once it comes up. At number 11, we have a Cliffhanger. At 10, we had Tango and Cash. At 9, we had The Suicide Squad. At 8, we had Demolition Man. At 7, we had the original Rocky. At 6, we had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. At 5, we had Copland. At 4, we had Creed 2. At 3, we had First Blood. At 2, we had Creed. And number 1, we had Rocky 2.
The comments on the poll are going to be so much fun, and you better explain that this list came from a top 10 style, not nominations.
Oh, you didn't. No, I was going.
Who cares? Everyone's just going to be like.
I mean, I was going to explain. I mean, because of the fact we had to do it this way, this is definitely going to come up for Redux at some stage.
Probably, yeah, definitely, and I will be there
as long as Stallone is still making movies. There's going to be a chance it's going to come up as a Redux.
Got that right. Stallone's never going to stop ever.
But. And maybe by then I'll have watched more of his other movies anyway. My list is not just going to be Rocky movies.
I think Leo is talking about Demolition Man when he says we are exactly 10 years away from when this film is set.
That's...
Sorry, for some reason, my StreamYard didn't give me the option to look at the comments from the YouTube, so I'm just catching up now. Apologies.
Actually, it's because I, for some reason,
it's because Malcolm decided to not let me see your comments.
Oh no, it's more of a case. With doing trivia and that, I keep forgetting to switch it.
Yeah, for trivia you gotta switch it off, or else people can be. See it.
Not that people have to wipe out that, but
nah, it's all good.
But
it's just you gotta cover yourself.
But with that being said, next week's going to be a guaranteed Star Wars topic. Even though Andor doesn't premiere until September 21st, as I found out after I had planned the polls, like, there's nothing much else coming out this week. It's like, I'll do it now because why not?
Why not?
But Matt, where can people find you online?
You guys, as always, can find me at Kearns_Matthew on Twitter, MattMovies611 on YouTube, and right here as host of Second Look, Fandom Podcast, and co-host of Simple Tricks and Nonsense with Abe Flores. You can also find me and Many Franks. We are continuing with our James Bond retrospective tomorrow. Unless plans change, we will be going live once again to talk about the Timothy Dalton era of Bond, which I'm really excited about. Please go back and check out the episodes we've done on the 3 previous Bonds. This was darn fun. I know this wasn't the way Malcolm wanted this to be, obviously, but I love Sylvester Stallone so much, so it was a lot of fun to be able to talk more in depth about his films than we normally get to. So it just worked out serendipitously for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones sometimes if you I mean,
what?
The only
Malcolm, something's happened. What? Hey yo, this is Vinny here. You can follow me at VinnyStallone76 on Twitter. Look, I freaking broke out of jail. Me and Kermit were fugitives of the law, but I gotta tell you something here. Expendables 3 is the best Expendables movie. It should be number 1 on this list. What are you doing? Kermit, you agree with me?
Hey, it's Kermit the Frog here. Stallone was actually on the Muppet Show, so he's got my respect. But Sly, if you could just loan me some money, because as Vinny said, we're fugitives of the law right now, so we're on the run.
Get out of here, you freaks. Sorry.
Sometime we'll get the movie and finding out why they're on fugitives on the floor.
The Vinny and Kermit film. The Fugitives. It's the sequel to The Fugitive. That's not U.S. Marshals.
I did not kill Miss Piggy. Yay! That was
Hey, I brought home the bacon. Yay!
Where's Miss Piggy?
Anyway,
Anyway,
here, Kermit.
anyway, that's our dark take on the Muppets.
Yep.
But
Disney, follow us.
But you can find me on Tape for Free Productions hosting Rankum every Saturday. Next week's sales topic, I'm going to try and get some special guests for that one.
Yeah. Wait, wasn't that the last movie called like Most Wanted? Is that not what the movie was about?
I mean, I think it was just Kermit. It was Most Wanted about this clown.
I
who
know
swapped
the
places
meme.
with-
I know the meme. So I know there's the evil Kermit with the mark on his mouth.
Yeah. But
That's all I know.
but yeah. Yeah, and you can also find me hosting trivia over on Full Metal. Next week I've got matches on Kevin Smith movies as well as something else.
Fun. I don't know what we're doing here. Oh, you're trying to find one of our matches you have? Okay.
Yeah, it's Kevin Smith and 90s music happening next week.
Interesting.
But with that, I'm also going to be over on the Movie Hero Network. We're going to be talking about 2019 movies and also Austin's favorite movies. I think it's part 2 of his top 128 this week. It's either part 1 or part 2. I'm not too sure. But yeah, that being said, time to head off here, and yeah, as I find
keep listing shit. Do that. That'd be good. If you could just list everything.
And thanks to you, that's over now, and you've ruined that for me.